Good evening, rockers. Vegas Rock Goddess here on the rocks. Total entertainment coming to you live from somewhere off the Las Vegas Strip. Today, we're interviewing Mr. Dominick Muzio. He's a Las Vegas artist. You're going to love this guy. So let's get him in. Hey, Dominick.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. Had some issues, but I think I'm okay now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I feel like, man, when was the last time I saw you?
Oh God, it was like March, I think it was, or something like
Yeah,
that.
like
Last time it
March.
was.
I think I just came back from Chicago, I think,
Hmm.
with the Kings of Thrash, and we did that little like spontaneous interview
Yeah.
on the patio at BAPT, and it was like 80-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh, because there was no quiet place to go that night because it was so
No,
packed
I
there.
mean
So
there really isn't. I mean it's so loud in there. You really
yeah. Mhm.
can't do an interview.
Yeah.
But it's great to see you. I've been hearing some great things. You've been really writing and stuff. So let's talk about that.
Thank you. Okay, what do you want to know?
Okay. Well, let's talk about the new record, right? You're working
Yes.
on some new material.
Yeah, I got a new record that I'm recording now. We're pretty much done with the initial pre-production, which is when we go in and demo all the songs. So we're going to start the actual recording probably in a couple of weeks. I'd like to see it finished before the new year. We'll see how that goes. Of course, it all depends on scheduling and everything, and then the release, hopefully sometime in early next year.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, are you going to have the same band or no?
So yeah, so well, for the most part, yes. The recording is just me, pretty much. I play all the guitars and the bass, and Jason Constantine, my producer, plays as
Right.
well. And then I had Ron Huddy play drums on the last record. I don't think Ron's gonna be available, so I've been in talks with my old drummer from Wicked Garden, Jay Dardano. He to check his availability to see if I can get him to play on it. And if so, he'll probably join the live band as well, the Chemical Tribe band. Um, Getting the whole band in there to record at the moment is just it's not that it's not an option. It is. It's just that the way me and Jason work, we kind of have this thing structured out where it just works really well for just the two of us. And then in the future, possibly I'd like to get into the studio with Chemical Tribe, but for right now, it's just going to be strictly just me doing most of it.
Right. So that way, at least you're set and ready to go
Exactly. Yeah.
when you got everything lined up. Because you
Mhm.
did you just do a show at Vamped?
I did. Yeah, I did a show with Todd Kearns. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It was with Original Sin, the old Sin City
Right.
Sinners, like last month. Yeah, it was what a fantastic show. It was great.
Yeah. Todd is great.
Yeah.
You know what I love about Todd? Besides he's great. Okay. But
Right.
anyway, he's a great guy, and he
Mhm.
really likes to give back to the local talent, which is
Absolutely.
really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. It's one of those things where he knows where he came from, even though he didn't come from here. If that makes sense. I mean,
Right.
but he understands, that everybody has the same likes and loves and goals in mind, and he's very good about reaching out to people and going, hey, you want to do this, and of course, like, I've known the guy years now, and I don't think I've ever said no, and the good thing about him, and it wasn't just him, of course, it was all the original Sin guys, and I'm friends with all of them. That's a friendship that goes back 10 years, but the thing about it is that when the opportunity comes up, it's like, how could you not do this? Because aside of it being a great show with a lot of people, you're hanging out with amazing musicians, and it's everybody's hysterical, so everybody's having fun, and there's no egos, there's no rock star trip or anything like that. It's just a lot of fun, so I love doing it.
Yeah, and for my viewers who don't know about you,
Mhm.
you have been you're based not in Vegas, but you're based in a couple different places, right?
Well, I mean, I'm based in Vegas now. I originally was from New York City,
Okay.
but I haven't lived there in God almost 25 years at this point. So yeah, I lived in New York City. That's where I started my so-called career. I lived in Florida for a few years and did the cover band circuit there, and then I moved out here about 14 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you've been out here grinding it. That's what I love about you, Dominic, because you don't stop.
Yeah, if I stop, I'll die. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you're so talented, you're a great
Oh, thank you.
songwriter.
Thank
Um,
you.
like, what is it like for you to be a musician in Vegas and actually working in Vegas? Because there's a lot of people out there, they think Vegas is great, which it is, but this
Mm.
is a great rock community.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely a lot of hard work, and I think it's harder than most places because, and like I said, I grew up in New York City where um everybody was in a band. There was a million different bands, and but there's also a million different clubs too, so you could kind of like work your way through things. Vegas is weird because you don't have a lot of clubs. You've got to, and I'm talking true rock clubs. I'm discounting casino gigs.
Right,
Not that there's not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that's not what I do. So not that
right,
there's anything wrong with that. But you're kind of, for lack of a better term, competing with a bunch of bands, but for very limited stage space. So you tend to you can fall in with certain crowds, and certain crowds are going to help you. The Todd Kearns crowd is a great example. And there's other crowds that unfortunately they won't help you, and it's not necessarily because they're bad people or anything like that. It's just that if the connections aren't there, it's very hard to get in with the so-called in crowds. I don't even consider myself in with the in crowd, to be honest with you. I kind of stand on the sidelines. It's like when there's an opportunity, I take it. There's plenty of people out there doing a lot more than I'm doing, and great for them. But it's definitely an honor to know that I can get a phone call at any moment. Somebody's going to need me to help them out to do something. So I take a lot of pride in that.
yeah, and Vegas is really becoming the rock and roll mecca. Am I not right, Dominic?
Well, yeah, there's no place else to go, and it's sad in a way. I mean, LA is dead. I mean, really, and I have friends that live out there, and I love them to death. But like, they're just starving for gigs, and it's a lot. Again, the rock clubs are just going away. I was working in Seattle for the last few months, and even there, which is like this bastion of great music from the '90s and everything, there's not a lot up there anymore. There's not a lot of clubs anymore. And I went to see my friend's band Crimson Riot in this small little punk club in in like, I can't remember what it was, like in outside of Seattle. I can't even think of the name right now. It's a small club. I mean, like literally, like you had to go upstairs and everything. Like it was weird, and it's happening all over the country from the friends that I've talked to. So yes, it's good that we still have this entertainment mecca that we have. Now it's just a matter of getting everybody on the same page to help each other out.
Right. And that's where I come in too, because I mean, I love promoting your stuff. And I mean, I talk to a lot of local musicians, of course, that I know. And I'm gonna say, I'll mention hey, do you know Dominic? Yeah, I know, he's awesome. I mean, this community it's just full circle. Everybody knows everyone.
Right. Yeah, it's very incestuous in a way, and that's good because it's there's always, like, if I need somebody to do something, there's 1,000 people I can call. And it's just a matter of finding. I'm not worried whether they're good enough. They all are. It's a matter of who's available. The
Right.
really good people are just, they're book solid and great for them. Like I said, Ron may not be available this record, so I called my buddy, Jay, who I was in Wicked Garden with for years. He's a fantastic drummer, and he's got a couple other things in the fire too. So it's kind of like kind of working through his schedule. Um, it's not easy to get a band together these days because of the fact that you have a limited supply of talented people that are just book solid. So, and again, great for them. But when you're in a pinch, it's really good to know that you can call 50 people and somebody's going to be available.
Right. And a lot of musicians in Vegas not only have one gig,
Oh yeah.
a
Well,
lot of, yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you're doing it to make a living, if that's even possible anymore, you can't have just one. There's just not enough to go around. But then you've got the people that are just consistently, they need to be stimulated. They need to constantly have their hands in something. I was like that for a long time. I've kind of set myself back a little bit from that now because I'm old and things hurt. But but it's like yeah, if you want to sustain yourself being just a musician, then you need multiple sources of income, and that's how some people do it. I could do it if I really wanted to, but I would have to do things I'm just not a big fan of. Like I really don't want to be, like I said, in a casino band playing the same 15 songs. And again, no, no disrespect to the people who are
Right,
doing
of
it. If
course,
you do it
yeah.
great. It just wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, I mean, with the casino thing, what do you think about all the residencies, Dominic, that are coming?
I mean, as far as the bigger residencies, like
Yeah, like
I mean,
Tesla,
yeah, I mean that's
Tesla.
great for a lot of these, what I call legacy bands. I mean, it makes more financial sense because touring is just out of control as far as expense right now. Unless you're Metallica or U2, like you just can't afford to tour at this point. So the moderate level bands like it, and again, this is nothing against them. They're fantastic. I love Tesla, but bands like Tesla and stuff like that, having one base to go to and play for 2 or 3 weeks makes so much financial sense. They can go out, they can play to thousands of people, they can make their money, they can stay in one area and have to travel all over the country, and then they can go home. I think it's great. I don't think there's enough out there for the lower level bands, but like I said, those moderate level legacy acts that have been around for 30, 40 years, the Def Leppards and all that, it's perfect for them. And it works for us, as fans. It's like, oh, great. It's not like, oh, there's one gig and you may miss it. It's like, oh, they'll be here for 3 weeks. I've got, 18 dates I can pick from. So that works
Yeah.
out well for us.
I mean, I'd like to see some of these clubs do a residency for local artists.
It used to be that way. I mean, I remember I did it with Wicked Garden. We did a residency at Babes when that used to be open up in Henderson. We played every Friday for about 6 weeks, and that was a really good way for us to kind of build up a fan base. I don't think, again, there's so many bands out there that I think it wouldn't be welcomed just because be like, oh, that band's playing again. I know that some bands are on kind of like a 6 week kind of cycle with some of the clubs, so they play like every 6 weeks,
Right.
and that's fine. I think that's great. I would love to get into something like that, but you have to prove yourself. You've got to be the band that brings in a couple hundred people every single time you
Right.
play. There's not many of them that can do that.
Yeah. But I think in 23, I think a lot of musicians are really grinding it. And I mean,
Mm.
we're coming to the end of 23. And I mean, tell us a little bit about this new music, Dominic. Where does it come from? Was this pre-pandemic writing, or are you like writing all new material?
I'm writing constantly, so it's a matter of just working out what songs that we were going to actually record because the label wants 5 or 6 songs. But what we did for this one is like kind of the same thing I did on Candy at a Funeral, which is where I took a couple songs that had been written 30 years ago that had just been collecting dust and said, okay, I'm going to throw these out there. And then there's the three or four songs that I wrote, in the last year since the last record came out that I wanted to do. Um, Kind of like Candy at a Funeral, styles are kind of all over the place. It's not strictly a grunge album or a rock album. There's little pieces of everything in there because I have such a wide, varied, music fanship, for lack of a better term. So you'll hear little things kind of coming through. And it, again, taking some risks, like stuff I never thought I'd play, and bringing them to Jason and going, okay, here's the idea I got. And him going, okay, here's what we're going to do. And I'm like, all right, let's never try that before. Let's give it, let's give it a
Right.
whirl.
Because I mean, you have a lot of like rock elements, but you also have a lot of soul, jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have like a plethora of different, vibes, which is what I like about your music.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if I hear something and it kind of sticks with me, and it may come out next week, it could be 7 years from now, but something eventually will click and go, oh, I like that. That kind of reminds me of this.
Yeah.
It's funny you said jazz because I think people are like, what the fuck? But when I was recording the first Wicked Garden album, Post Dystopian Legion music, I was doing vocals for one of the songs, and the engineer Ron stopped the record at one point and said, what are you, like a fucking jazz singer? He's like, you sing in all these different. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's just what I hear in my head. And because he's like, and I don't know anything about theory, so that's probably why. But the vocal line progression I was using was like harmonic fourth and the sixth here, and he's like, that's a jazz thing. That's not like rock. I'm like, I don't know. That's what I hear in my fucking head. Yeah. So.
But again, that's what makes you you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, your last record was killer. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to this new record probably 24. Are you more comfortable with saying 24?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because even if I was to get it all, recorded in the next month, which I wouldn't, it would still take 2 or 3 months to go through all the processes and get all the promotions set up for the
Right.
labels to put it out. I think it's safe to say February, March. It may even be April. We'll see what happens. But it just depends on how fast. Like me and Jason work really quick, which is great. We will sometimes do a song a day, like it's that quick. But I would love to have it out before my birthday in May. So we'll see what happens. If I get it around then I can coincide with a big party. We'll see what
Okay,
happens.
see, that's a good goal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you never know. Yeah,
why
to
not?
help.
Right?
Yeah, give it a shot. Yeah, we used to do this when I was in Wicked Garden. We used to do this thing every year. My birthday called because my birthday is May 5th, so we used to do something called Cinco de Muzio, and we did it for like
That's
5 years.
cool.
Yeah, and then we had to stop when we were recording our first record because we were in the studio during it, and then we just never picked it back up. So I wouldn't mind coming back with another Cinco de Muzio party and have a record release. We'll see what happens.
Hey, that would be really cool, man.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Actually, damn, I hope it would.
Definitely. So, are you planning on maybe going out again and playing some stuff, getting your feet wet a little bit with some new music?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually at the last show we played most of the new stuff.
Okay.
Most people didn't know, they didn't know they were hearing it at the time, but it's like, it's like a test. I don't have anything solid booked right now because of the drumming situation. I would love to have something booked, before the end of the new year, just to throw something else out there, and then hopefully start falling into that again when the record's coming out to be able to go out and do a few shows. I've had offers to do shows that I just have to turn down. I think because some people aren't realizing what I'm looking to do. Like, there's certain bars in town that have asked me to play there, but they want me to play, the typical 4-hour shows that Wicked Garden used to do. And I'm
Oh,
like, look, dude,
wow.
yeah, I'm like, I don't have that much original material, and I am not learning 40 new covers. Like, it's just those days are done. I don't have it in me to do 4-hour shows anymore. I mean,
Right.
I did it for a long time, and I at my age, I was proud that I was able to do it. But at this point, man, after an hour and a half, I need a nap. I'm exhausted.
Rock and roll is tiring, man.
It is, man, especially when you're this age. My God, everything's cracking and popping. I'm old.
Right? But hey, we're still out there, man.
We're still out there, and I still have all my hair. So there we go.
And that's a plus.
It is. It is.
That is definitely a plus.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think the Vegas music scene is, like I said, kind of turning around.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of places really kind of moving forward, like Water Street.
Yes.
Is really kind of bringing it.
Mm-hmm.
I know your friend Max Rico just did a show there.
Right.
And they're really getting the buzz going.
They is, and they got a great, it's set up perfectly. It's set up. It reminds me a lot of like downtown Austin, the way Austin used to be, or even in downtown like New Orleans. You have a bunch of bars on both sides of the street. Everybody has a band, and everybody's just kind of walking back and forth and listening to it. I think it's fantastic. I like to see more of it. The whole COVID thing it hurt a lot of venues, and it hurt a lot of bands too. So what you see now is a lot of those bands and those venues, they're like, okay, everything seems to be all right now. Everything's kind of back to normal, so we can go back to doing what we were doing. Problem is the expense has gotten so high. So I know there's a lot of club owners I've talked to that really want to go full bore. I mean, 100% back in. Excuse me. It's just it's very the costs are just out of control right now, and nothing has kind of fallen into place where you can make it worth their while, make it the band's while. So I like to see that kind of level out in the next few months, and then hopefully 2024 is just really big for live music again.
Yeah, I mean that's an issue with a lot of clubs. They want the headliners, but it's like, I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of these I would say mid-level, I'm not trying to like categorize, but they're bundling.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, they're bundling to stay alive, to stay on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I looked into like how much it costs right now, like just to rent a bus. Good luck, like number one, right? So you have to rent a van. You have to get, this is what people don't realize. Not only do you need the van, you need gas, you need insurance. You need hotel rooms. You need that. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's like, what can these bands command? You know, like, oh, they're making. I hear people say this all the time. Well, this band makes $3,000 a show. Yeah, how much does it cost them to stay on the road though? They're getting 3 shows a week. Okay, so let's say they're bringing in $10,000. The van's costing them 4 or 5. You know, the insurance. So it's very hard to survive. So I guess I think you're going to see more package tours. I agree. Um, I think festivals are good for it, but I'm also not a fan of festivals. I think festivals kind of hurt live music in a way.
Yeah.
Um, you know, you're putting on a festival over a weekend with 80 live bands playing every 17 minutes, and you can't remember any of that stuff. You
No,
know,
you can't absorb any of it. You
yeah.
can't really have fun when you've got 1,800 people in front of you moshing.
Right? Yeah.
You're trying to enjoy the show.
And you got 20 minutes to play. You got 10 minutes to set up, and if there's a sound problem, you're screwed. You know, and most of them don't get paid, which people don't realize. And if they do get paid, it's not a lot. So it's a lot of merch stuff. It's a lot of, you know, they do the VIP thing. You know, it's another thing too. Why bands doing VIPs? Sometimes that's the only way they make money is to do the VIP thing. You know, people do not realize the cost that's involved with these artists. You know, and this is for people that have had some form of success. You take a guy like me who hasn't. There's no way I can go out on tour. I would lose a fortune. I would lose my house to go out on tour unless somebody was willing to put up money for it, and those days are long gone.
Yeah.
So you just gotta kind of. That's why I tell people, hey, if there's a local music scene, just go out, just be a fan, buy a T-shirt, and show up and buy their songs, whatever you can do, because they're not going to be able to go on the road most likely.
Yeah, and I think as a fan too, as a rock journalist, but you know, we need to support the local music scene. Because there's still a lot of struggling bands that still have not cracked
Right.
that preferable egg.
Yeah, and as far as journalism goes, you know, you guys would be surprised how helpful a 3-line blurb on a blog can be, you know, or, you know, a 15-minute interview like this. The traction that I get every time I do something like this is like I always see a spike in the streaming. You know, I see journalists that go out and they cover bands in Vegas, and they only cover, you know, when Tesla comes around, when definitely, it's like they've got enough press. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but they've got a lot of press. There's not a band here every single day. So go to one of the local artists and go cover them. You know, my wife has worked with, she owns Z Rocker magazine. That's the thing they've been doing for 12 years in town, which is amazing. Is there's no big shows. Great. On Friday night, we're sending a photographer to Vamped. We're going to film the local band, and we're going to put a little, you know, do a little story about them. That helps bands so much. You know, use that in your press. Use that in your you know, your press kits and everything. You send that out. Your fans eat it up, and you know, we live in a very global society now. Most of the fans of my music are not even in this country. So when I do something like this and I can put it on, you know, my Facebook page or my Instagram page, they're going to get a chance to see it, and it definitely helps promote the music.
Right. And you know, your fans get to know you
Yep.
and know about you, and you know how passionate you are about this business. You know, because I think in general, a lot of bands have lost their passion for what they're doing. And you know, I cover everybody. You know, I've been in the local scene for a long time, and you know, I'm starting to get some nods from some high profile acts that they want me to cover.
Great. Good for you.
And I love that, but I love the local scene.
Yeah, and it's
going to not cover it.
Yeah, and trust me, it's appreciated. It is so appreciated. And going back to what you just said about, you know, the bands who get frustrated. Yeah, and you know, I get frustrated too, but you know, I get frustrated for different reasons. I hear a lot of, especially the younger musicians, you know, they're like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to make, you know, money on my music. I'm like, I got news for you, dude. Nobody ever made money from the music. I mean, there was like maybe 0.1% that made money. You know, MTV sold everybody a bill of goods back in the 80s that if you had a record out, you made millions of dollars. Trust me, I am friends with all of those guys. A lot of them were not millionaires, you know. And then even, you know, I came out in the night, you know, my stuff came out in the 90s, and I was, you know, in that grunge scene and everything. A lot of us were independent artists. We didn't make a dime. So to sit there and bitch about it now, Like, oh, every time they play me on Spotify, I don't even make a cent. Yeah, no shit. Guess what? I sold records for 30 years and never made a dime. You know, so it's like it's not new.
But see, that's the problem, I think, from COVID,
Mm,
because they were grinding it on the road and they came to a complete halt.
yeah, and
So,
then never do.
right. So now, you know, the hottest thing right now for live music for promoting is TikTok.
Yep.
And if you're not in to promoting your band on any
Hmm.
social media platform, I'm not talking just TikTok, I'm saying Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, you're gonna like miss out because
Oh
you're
yeah, and I
yeah,
can tell. Like I'm missing out. Like I can't figure TikTok out to save my life. Um, I don't have the time nor the patience to figure it out.
right.
And TikTok is perfect because if you look at pop music these days, everything repeats after 30 seconds. Most TikToks are 30 seconds. So it's perfect. It's got that repetitive stuff. We
Right.
all become 2-year-olds again. I don't have it in me to find a way to loop one of my songs for 30 seconds. I really don't.
Well,
But to be fit, to be fair, there's other revenue streams that most people don't realize. Like I am very happy. I am announcing this on your show right now. Um, that my publisher got me on smart appliances. So if you want to spend $8,000 on a refrigerator that plays music, you will find my music on there
oh,
now.
that's awesome.
Yes, I'm looking forward to making a quarter from that too.
Well,
Because
hey, that's great, man.
it's something. It's like I got we signed a few years ago and we got put on Peloton. The bicycle. So yeah, you can
Yeah.
ride your bike and listen to my stuff. It's like, yeah, I think I've made 9 cents in 3 years, but hey, it's something.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I mean, Dominic, you have almost 1,000 followers on Spotify.
Yep.
You're growing by the week, you know.
Mhm.
And I mean, all you need is like the next time you play out, you just need me to go there and film a few
Uh-huh.
songs. And I download them right to TikTok.
I will. I tell you what. The next time I have a show booked, I will get in touch with you and we'll work that out.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll work
that's what
that
we
out.
need to do. We just
Yeah.
need to get you in the face of these people.
Mhm.
Keep it going.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, again, it's not for lack of like wanting to do it. It's a
No,
lot of just I can't figure it
yeah. You know what?
out.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Mhm.
You have people to help you like me. We'll drop some stuff down. I mean, it's a lot of, trust me. People think that it's all fun and games, but it's really not. It's
Oh,
a
I'm
lot of
sure.
work for me too. And
Yeah.
I do it because I'm passionate about it.
Mhm.
It makes me happy when we can get some traction for an artist that maybe people didn't even know
Right.
existed. And that's important.
It is important. I think more people need to take ownership of the bands that they're fans of, like you were just saying. Like, yeah, it's a labor of love and it's a lot of work, but like if you support somebody that makes it to that next level, you can say that you were there, you were part of that. And trust me, real musicians will appreciate it. Like I appreciate stuff like that. So to watch people hit that second, that next level of success, whatever it may be, and to know that you were a part of it. I think people don't realize that you can be a part of those things. Back in the 90s, we used to call them street teams.
Right.
You remember those, right? And for those of you who don't know, street team was basically hired by your publicist or your record label, and it was basically a bunch of high school and college kids. You gave them flyers and they ran around town stapling them and calling radio stations requesting your songs and stuff like that. Those can still exist. It's just people don't realize that they're out there. And I think that we need to use those more.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these street teams are now social media teams.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Just moved on to a different type of media. Yeah.
right. And I think, with TikTok exploding, and I think 24, you're going to see a lot more bands kind of jump on this bandwagon,
Most
you know,
likely. Yeah.
which I
Absolutely.
think is, like I said, really super important. Keeping it going. That's
Mhm.
the whole thing. You can't stop.
Yeah.
You
Exactly. If you're stopping because you're frustrated that you're not making any money, well, then you're in it for the wrong reasons to begin with.
Right.
If you're stopping because you just don't love it anymore, then I can respect that. Like if you can sit there and say to me, you know what, I don't have the passion anymore. Great, you had a good run, hang it up. I question my passion every now and then. But to sit there and say, I'm not doing this anymore because I'm not getting paid fairly. You know what, dude? Nobody's getting paid. Like nobody's getting paid fairly. There's not a musician on this earth, except for maybe Sting, who's getting paid fairly at this point. So just
Yeah, quit
and
crying about it and do
yeah,
something about it.
it's like you get to strap up. Like I always look at this when I ever do it. Right? I was like, I'm going to put on a guitar. I'm going to go on stage. I'm going to sing for an hour. And people are going to sing along and they're going to have fun and they're going to hopefully clap and not throw bottles at me or whatever. And then I'm going to go home. That's what I did today. That's a pretty good life. And maybe
Right.
I'll make money at it. Okay, maybe the club owner throws me a couple $100. Oh, that's fantastic. But for the most part, I just wanted to be able to play guitar in front of a bunch of people and sing instead of, say, doing it in my bedroom, or doing it in the
Oh,
living room.
yeah.
Yeah, they just don't take it that way.
I mean, you sound great, on vinyl, but you sound even better live.
Thank you. I'm sure there's a lot that would disagree with you, but thank you.
But you know what? Like I said, this train is just getting rolling with you,
I hope so. We'll
you
see.
know. But let me ask you, what was the first concert, Dominick, you ever saw?
Okay, 1978. So I was 3 years old. My
Okay.
parents took me to see the Doobie Brothers, and I still remember it. I mean, I can remember bits and pieces of it. I remember not knowing what the hell Michael McDonald was saying, but it sounded cool as shit. And I remember when I got home, like the next 2 or 3 days, I had my parents playing Doobie Brothers all day. And then they took me to see Chuck Berry like a few weeks after that. And then we went to, I mean, I've been to so many concerts at this point, like I couldn't even tell you, but by the time I was 10 years old, I'd probably been to 100 concerts because of my
Wow.
parents. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think
everybody.
yeah, I remember you telling me that when I was talking to you last time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really important because I think the viewers don't really realize that this is a business, but you've also been there as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad was a musician, so I grew up listening to my dad's bands, rehearse and everything. I started performing at 5 years old. I used to perform up in the uh, upstate New York, and this little Italian place called Antonio's, which is kind of like, if you ever seen Dirty Dancing,
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was like. It was like that type of place.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
my family used to go up every year, and I was little Elvis, and I had a white jumpsuit with rhinestones and everything, and I would do
Wow.
Elvis up. So I've been in this forever. I'm 48 now, and I've been performing since I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, and let me tell you, like I said, 24 is going to be your year, Dominick.
I hope to your mouth, God's ears. We'll see what happens. I hope so.
But let's keep in touch.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm anxious to hear about your progress with the next record.
Okay.
And if you decide to play out before the end of the year, get in touch with me and we'll talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Carol.
So thank you for coming on, and we're going to keep in touch. And fans got to know you, and why don't you tell them about all your social media platforms?
So the easiest way is to search my name, Dominick Muzio, Muzio. I'm on Facebook. I've got a couple of Facebook pages. I'm on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I just never use it. I'm on Twitter. Most of my handles are DMUZ75 or Dom Muzio, depending on where it is. But if you search my name, they're going to come up, and they're all kind of connected. I love hearing from people. I get messages just about weekly, and it's from people from all over the world, so it's kind of cool. So if you want to know something, please, by all means, message me. I answer everything that comes in.
And you know what? That's great about you, Dominick. You have a great connection with your fans.
Yeah, I love them. They're great. I mean, anybody that takes 4 minutes out of their day to listen to one of my songs, the least I can do is say hello if they reach out to me. That's why I look at it.
They're going to have a lot more to listen to in 24.
Good. I'm going to have to get a lot more phones. Then I'll have to message everybody.
Okay, Dominick, you take care. Keep that rock and roll dream alive, my friend.
I will. You as well. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it.
And we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Dominick Muzio, an artist to watch in 2024. This guy is an amazing songwriter. Live, he is actually amazing as well. So stay tuned for Dominick Muzio. I'm the Vegas rock goddess, Carol Levin. Thanks for watching. Always like and subscribe to On the Rocks Total Entertainment. You never know who's going to show up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.